Just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
Babe, what business do you mean?
There's no doubt that she drove the final nail into this movie's coffin. She probably drove the final 2 or 3 nails into the coffin.
Yeah, right there. Zoom in right there. That's it. 163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of...
Rachel Zegler is having a full-on meltdown now that her Snow White show tickets have officially hit $0. That's right, Free. She dragged Disney through the mud, called the original weird, and expected fans to still show up. Girl, be serious. When your ego's bigger than the box office, the flop writes itself.
A very long time, it seems that nobody has quite captured the public's disdain like our girl, Rachel Zegler. The damage...
So let me get this straight. Rachel Zegler went from being Steven Spielberg's Golden Girl to starring in a show where tickets cost $0. Literally, free, as in the same price as standing outside and blinking. You can now watch her act for less than a cup of air. And no, this isn't some glitch in the Matrix. This is what happens when arrogance meets karma. You're telling me this wasn't sabotage? Oh, it was. Just not from Hollywood, from Rachel herself. She went on a press tour of cringe and accidentally torched her own career in the process. One minute she's saying I love you, next minute she's fake smiling at fans in line. For the Snow White ride, girl, what are we doing? Let's hit rewind to 2020 when the industry was foaming at the mouth over this girl. Spielberg himself chose her from over 30,000 audition tapes. 30,000. Everyone called her a prodigy, a generational talent, the next big thing. And to be fair, she kinda was. For about 5 minutes, at just 20, she even bagged a Golden Globe. And that should have been the launch pad of a fairy tale career. She had the talent, the press, and Spielberg's blessing. That's a cheat code in Hollywood. And then Disney strolls in with a glittering gift Snow White, classic, beloved, untouchable. All Rachel had to do was not wreck it. But oh no, Rachel didn't just mess it up. She threw it off a cliff, backed the truck over it, and then posted the wreckage online with a smug little monologue. She doesn't need a prince, she said. Well, guess what? Now she doesn't have a prince, a fan base, or a movie that people actually want to see.
At this point, she sort of feels like the poster child for it. What's really interesting is that Zegler's fall from grace has been a very
So let me get this straight. Rachel Zegler went from Spielberg's Golden Girl to headlining a Broadway show with $0 tickets, free, like the same price as oxygen. You're telling me this wasn't some random career hiccup? Oh no, baby. This was a self-induced detonation. I love you, I love me, I love you. Girl, what? She's out here fake fangirling at Disneyland like she's not in a public PR coma. Let's rewind the meltdown clock. Back in 2020, Hollywood was foaming at the mouth over this girl. Spielberg picked her out of 30,000 hopefuls for West Side Story. They called her a prodigy, a phenom, the second coming of Judy Garland. Maybe for like 5 seconds, she snatched a Golden Globe at 20. With that kind of launch, she should have been unstoppable. Then Disney handed her Snow White like, here you go, just don't ruin it. And oh, she ruined it. In just 3 years, she went from Disney's princess to Broadway's pity case. When your show's pricing strategy becomes pay whatever you want, that's not a VIBITS, an SOS. That's not a performance, that's rehab for reputation. But this spiral didn't start with Snow White, let's be honest. It started with West Side Story. Critics may have clapped, but the box office didn't. $76 million on a $100 million budget, that's not underwhelming, that's a cinematic faceplant, and then came Snow White flopped twice in 2 months. You heard me. Same movie, 2 flops, 0 accountability. Instead of eating that L with grace, Rachel went full Twitter warrior. She blamed white audiences for not showing up, ma'am, but she kept talking, and bombing. Let's talk about the accent. The fake, unnecessary, telenovela accent. She doesn't speak Spanish, but suddenly she's rolling her R's like she's Telemundo's top anchor. Even Latino fans were like, girl, we didn't ask for this. It was forced, it was cringe, and it was peak cosplay. It's giving Duolingo. Week 1. Then came the interviews, not promotional interviews. Lectures. She turned every press tour into a Tumblr essay. At one point, she called the Sharks a rainbow of the Latino community. then blanked when asked to name literally any type of Latino diversity. Girl, what are you saying? But that was just the warm-up act. The real implosion came with Snow White. Instead of charming the press, she walked in like she was auditioning for MSNBC. She called the 1937 version outdated, said Snow White was dumb, and called the prince ... a stalker. You mean the guy who literally saved her from death? Yeah, that guy? Predator, apparently. Her words. But wait, she kept going. She proudly announced this: Snow White doesn't want love, she wants leadership. Because nothing says childhood magic like quarterly earnings goals and feminists. Slogans. We went from singing birds and magic mirrors to spreadsheets and girl boss lectures. No wonder Disney fans revolted. The backlash wasn't subtle. Reddit threads exploded. Fan forums were in shambles. One post literally titled, "Rachel Zegler is destroying Disney with her mouth." Internally, Disney started scrubbing her from merch, delaying the movie, and launching a stealth operation to erase her like she was the villain, not the princess. When the company that crowned you a literal fairy tale icon wants you gone, baby, that's not shade, that's exile. Dreaming of becoming the leader her late father believed she could be: brave, fearless, fair, and true. Cute, noble, even. But then boom, just when you think the train wreck is slowing down, she hits the gas. Welcome to the part where Rachel Zegler tries to cancel half the country. In 2020, she hopped on Instagram and typed out, "This gem, F Donald Trump, May Trump. Supporters never know peace." Actual quote, not a parody. So now it's not just Disney fans, she's alienated millions of Americans, the same ones buying theme park passes, Disney Plus subscriptions, and Broadway tickets. And keep in mind, she's on the Disney payroll while posting this. You know Disney, the company that sells magic and safety to suburban moms and theme park dads. And she's out here handing out political curses like she's the Wicked Witch with Wi-Fi. But wait, she didn't stop there. She doubled down on TikTok like she was running for most unhinged influencer of the year. Vote Kamala Harris. It's non-negotiable, and if you disagreed, she said, "I don't need your business." Oh really? Because judging by your box office numbers, you might. Let's be real, this wasn't some brave act of political resistance. It was a PR time bomb wrapped in ego. And even her own side was like, "Girl, tone it down." There's a difference between having an opinion and full-on launching. Verbal war on your own audience, and Disney dead silent. But make no mistake, that silence wasn't support. That was PR damage control. Behind the scenes, they were already spinning the Rachel Zegler Disappearance Act, pulling her from merch, scaling back press, delaying movie releases. When Disney starts pretending you don't exist, you're not a princess anymore. You're a liability, and the wildest part. There was no scandal, no leaks, no betrayal, just her, a phone, and a never-ending stream of bad takes. Her downfall wasn't sabotage. It was a solo performance, a masterclass in self-destruction. One day she was Spielberg's Golden Girl next. She's headlining a show with pay-what-you-want ticket pricing. The crown didn't slip. She threw it in the trash, and somehow she's still confused, still playing victim, still out here acting like the world turned on her, not the other way around. And then brace yourself, she decides Broadway is the solution, not a break. Not some quiet soul-searching. Nope. She packs all that drama into a suitcase and hauls it to London, and lands Eva Perot in Invita at the freakin' Palladium, a role played by legends like Patti LuPone and Madonna. The buzz was loud, the fall was louder. Those tickets, $500 each. Yes, 500 American dollars. That's sell a kidney theater pricing. But instead of a once-in-a-lifetime performance, fans got Rachel Zegler pulling one of the most bizarre stunts Broadway's ever seen. Picture this. You get dressed up, spend $500. Moment, and where's Rachel? On a balcony, singing to people outside. For free. Yep, you're inside. And you're watching it on a grainy TV screen like it's a bootleg DVD in 2004. Memes went feral. My personal favorite, paid $500 to watch Rachel Zegler through a monitor. It was giving Broadway Scam of the Year. And the kicker, she actually sounded good. Critics said she was vocally strong, great presence, solid performance. But no one cared because it all felt like a prank. a big, glittery TikTok stunt disguised as high art. Then came the crash. Ticket prices went from $500 to literally free, as in pay if you feel like it. From luxury theater to please just show up, that's not a discount. That's a desperation play. That's what you do when the room is half empty and the refund requests are stacking up. And while all this is happening, her Snow White box office numbers were tanking faster than you can say, Girl Boss flop, opened on 4,200 screens, $42. Million domestic opening, not bad, but then a 66% drop the next weekend. Within 7 weeks, they cut it down to just 310 theaters. That's not underperforming. That's vanishing. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be Disney's next princess success story, but instead, she got edited out of her own fairy tale. No, seriously. Insiders claim Disney started cutting her screen time in Snow White after backlash hit critical mass. How bad was it? They allegedly scrubbed her from posters, pulled merch, and even yanked her image from store shelves like she never existed. That's not marketing, it's a quiet execution. She was cast as the lead, but treated like a background extra. And the hits didn't stop there. Producers of Evita reportedly said they regretted casting her. Yeah, regretted it, said they had to reshape the entire production to fit her creative vision, which sounds a lot like we had to clean up her mess. 2 golden opportunities, 2 disasters, and we haven't even gotten to the off-screen chaos. Let's talk about Rachel's press tour from hell, starting with that awkward Jimmy Kimmel interview where she told a story about a fan singing Maria from West Side Story at Chili's, instead of laughing it off. She said it ruined her night. Girl, if a musical reference at a chain restaurant sends you into meltdown mode, how are you surviving red carpets? Then came the Disneyland complaints. Yep, Rachel said. She had to pretend to like fans asking for pictures. At Disneyland, the Nove. What kind of Disney princess drags the exact people who put her on the map? She wasn't being real. She was being rude, and Hollywood noticed. Every smirk it all added up to one big PR dumpster fire. Critics didn't hold back either. One called her energy off-putting. Another said she came across entitled, and fans agreed. They didn't cancel her, they just stopped caring. The question on everyone's lips, if she hates being Snow White so much, why'd she take the role? When you're playing a fantasy icon but acting like the materials beneath you, audiences tune out. And tune out they did. Disney's Snow White went from potential blockbuster to historic flop. Reports say it made under $1 million in China. That's not underperforming, that's a nosedive. And just when you thought Rachel might humble herself, she cried. On stage during an Evita ovation, instead of a redemption arc, it looked like more damage control. Comment sections lit up. She's acting again. This is fake. What should have been a career revival turned into another PR mess, because Rachel Zegler's biggest issue was never her talent. She can sing, she can act, but the attitude, the interviews, the inability to read the room, that's what sunk her. Every platform became a soapbox. Every mic drop, a career boomerang. The fallout was quiet but brutal. Studios stopped calling. Red carpets stopped inviting. No big scandal, no public cancellation. Silence. Hollywood didn't blacklist her. They just ghosted her. Because when even your absence in a trailer tests better than your presence, that's not fame. That's infamy. A/B testing confirmed 8 trailers without her name actually performed better. Imagine being so disliked, your invisibility becomes your brand. Rachel Zegler didn't just fumble the bag. She threw it into the fire, filmed the flames, and uploaded it with the caption, "My Truth." And we haven't even hit the final chapter of this Hollywood cautionary tale. So, let's get this straight. Rachel Zegler went from being Spielberg's Golden Girl to headlining a show that's literally free. Like $0, no ticket fee. You can now watch her sing her heart out for the same price as tap water. And no, this wasn't some random scheduling fluke. This was a full-blown front-row sciatica crash career implosion. She didn't just fumble the bag. She set it on fire and threw it off a cliff. Back in 2020, Hollywood was foaming at the mouth over her. Spielberg handpicked her out of 30,000 hopefuls for West Side Story. People were calling her a prodigy. The next Barbra Streisand. The second coming of musical theater royalty. And to be fair, she did win a Golden Globe at 20. Disney came knocking right after like, "Hey kid, wanna be the next princess?" They gave her Snow White with one job: don't screw it up. But what did Rachel do? She didn't just mess it up. She stomped on it, lit it on fire, and gave interviews basically mocking everything the role stood for. Suddenly, the media darling turned into Hollywood's most muted name. And no, it's not about talent. She can sing, she can act. That was never the issue. The problem is, she's a walking PR headache. One exec said it best: she doesn't generate buzz, she starts fights. Studios want bankable stars, not social media wars. Rachel, she opens her mouth, and entire departments go into crisis mode. Even Disney hit the emergency exit. Her Snow White toys, gone posters, yanked Disney stores. Radio silent. It's like someone at corporate hit Ctrl+Z on her entire rollout. This isn't just distancing. This is full-scale Disney ghosting. When the House of Mouse pulls the plug, you're not just off the throne, you're swimming with the rats in the moat. And now, in what might be the worst idea since Cats, there's a rumor she's playing Maria in The Sound of Music. Because yeah, when the world says stop, Hollywood says, how about more? And Rachel singing The Hills Are Alive with the same energy she used to call the prince a predator. Yeah, that's not healing the brand. That's pushing it off another cliff. Fans are groaning before the trailer even drops. The backlash isn't coming, it's already here. People aren't just disinterested, they're actively preparing for another meltdown. The internet doesn't enjoy every celebrity downfall, but with Rachel, she made it easy. The smug interviews, the condescending sound bites, the endless shade. Thrown at fans and fairy tales alike, she walked into this storm. She's not a villain in some big studio drama. She's the cautionary tale your PR manager warns you about. Hollywood didn't turn on her. Fans didn't just decide to hate her. Rachel pushed people away. She shamed childhood nostalgia rolled her eyes at romance and acted like Snow White was beneath her. She treated her fan base like a punching bag, then played victim when they didn't clap. And don't think this ends with some magical third act. Let's look at the scoreboard. Spielberg Discovery. Check. Lead in West Side Story. Check. Golden Globe. Yup. Disney Princess. Yup. And then One Woman Wrecking Ball. She alienated every group rooting for her: Gen Z, old school Disney fans, the Broadway crowd, the Latino community, even journalists. She burned every bridge like it was a bonfire of ego. She told fans they were wrong for loving fairy tales. She dragged characters people grew up adoring. She mocked romance, mocked tradition, mocked you. And when called out, she doubled down. She never apologized. She never connected. She lectured. Rachel didn't just lose her audience, she rejected them. Now, her shows flop, her movies stall, and her name causes test screenings to tank. Studios aren't defending her. They're avoiding her. There's no comeback campaign, no sympathy surge, just digital tumbleweeds. The same girl who used to cry tears of joy at seeing Snow White on a screen is now crying on stage to empty chairs and suspicious side eyes. The plot twist: no one's buying the tears anymore. This wasn't some industry hit job. Rachel Zegler is the architect of her own downfall. She built a platform and used it to insult the very people who supported her. She didn't just fumble a career, she rewrote the playbook on how to nuke one. What used to be star power is now brand poison. And if that's not a Hollywood cautionary tale, I don't know what is. So hit that like button, drop a sub, and stay tuned for the next celebrity PR meltdown, because in Hollywood, the drama never sleeps.